welcome you to Old Tales of Nevada, past and present. I'm actually sitting in for John O'Brien with Hugh Roy Marshall as we interview perhaps the world's foremost integrative oncologist, Dr. James FORSYTHE. We will be right back.
Hi, I'm Hugh Roy Marshall from the Marshall Mint, Virginia City and Reno, Nevada. Come to introduce you to the Let 'em Run Wild Horse Mustang series, which depicts the wild Mustangs herd running free, mare in its foal, the wild Mustangs fighting for love. These ingots are a limited edition double-struck product on 1 troy ounce 3-pine silver and are only available at the Marshall Mint, Virginia City or Reno, Nevada. Get your piece of history today.
All of us at Shoeman's Custom Cycle are ready to get you and your Harley ready for the road. From oil and tire changes to high-performance engine upgrades and dyno tuning, we at Shoeman's have got you covered with experienced factory-certified mechanics and a full-service machine shop loaded with parts and accessories. Shoeman's Custom Cycle has been serving Northern Nevada since 1988, so ride on down to Shoeman's Custom Cycle at 275 East 4th Street in downtown Reno.
Shoeman's Custom Cycle, we're the biker's bike shop.
Welcome back to Old Tales of Nevada. I want to introduce right now our very special guest, and that is integrative oncologist Dr. James FORSYTHE, who's not only an MD, but he's also an HMD, and we'll get into that during the show. But first, I want to introduce the host of the show, Hugh Roy Marshall, who is going to tell you exactly why we do Old Tales of Nevada, past and present.
How you doing today, Eddie?
I'm doing great, Hugh Roy. Thank you.
How you doing, Dr. FORSYTHE?
Very good, Hugh Roy. Thanks for inviting me.
You betcha. Well, the reason we do this show every week is to spread knowledge of the history of Nevada and what is presently happening here, which is of great importance to the people of Nevada. But the state of Nevada has a great historic significance in the United States, in that after the Civil War, the country was totally broke, and we owed more than what we were worth to France, Germany, and England, somewhere between 8 and 12 million. And Abraham Lincoln was able to get that money from the Comstock miners up at Virginia City, Nevada, by passing around a bag of flour from all around that area and other areas, which came to be known as the proverbial sack of flour. This was the thing that they raised the money on, and basically the state of Nevada came into being 1864, October 31st, because of its great credit in saving the United States of America.
Wow. Thank you so much.
And of course we developed the dollar here too.
Absolutely.
The U.S. dollar, which has been the best form of currency worldwide.
Carson City Mint.
Yeah.
You better
and
believe.
we have new things that are happening all the time, and Dr. FORSYTHE here and his methods for cancer extraction reduction are right in there with some of the most important present things that are happening.
Thank you, Hugh Roy.
Yeah.
Doctor, what I would like to ask you to begin with, if you don't mind, and that is the fact that if you'll personalize this show for us briefly, where were you born, educated, and what led you to medicine, sir?
Eddie, thank you so much. Well, I was born in a place I'm not too proud of these days, but it was Detroit, Michigan. What can you say about Detroit these days? My parents divorced when I was 2, so I was pretty much raised by a single mother who had no alimony, no child support, moved around a lot. I was placed in a foster home until I was 5, and it was called the German Luther's Boys Home, and I remember it well in Detroit because the name German in those days was not a popular name, so kids would come by and throw rocks over the fence, and we were constantly ducking things coming our way, so it was a little scary at times, and it was all boys, and some of the instructors there and the carekeepers were a little bit on the mean side, so I kind of stayed away, tried to behave myself and fly under the radar, so to speak. After that, my mother married, and we had a nice home in suburban Detroit and the east side. the marriage itself was very tumultuous, and lots of coming and going, lots of separation. So after that, I was a good student in school. I guess I spent all my time in school trying to relieve myself of what was going on at home, and we finally moved to California. My mother and I in an old 49 Mercury with a sun visor, the old James Dean car. You may remember the black Mercury with the sun visor and the big white walls. That took us to California with all the possessions we had. We ended up in Hollywood in the hills, and I went to high school there, finished high school. Was on the tennis team. We won the city championship in those days. I played with Ricky Nelson. That was my only claim of fame.
Wow.
And then from there, I got a full ride scholarship to Berkeley, and spent 4 years at Berkeley, Eddie, in graduating in biochemistry physiology with honors. And I also got a full ride through my first year of medical school at UC San Francisco in San Francisco, which is right across the bay from Berkeley, as you know. And did well in medical school. I graduated. I was married at the time, had 2 children, and worked my way through my latter years. And when I was a senior in medical school, Eddie, they called me in to the dean's office and says, "You're never going to make it with your financial report. Why don't you do something else, maybe get a PhD?" And I said, "Well, we'll see what I can do." So I joined the Army. I was the only one in my class to join the Army senior year program, and so I became an Army officer, and they paid my way and paid my debts, and so I ended up in finishing medical school without any debt, and they were kind enough to send me to the Presidio Letterman Army Hospital, where I did a internship, and from there, because the Vietnam War was starting to break out, I figured pathology should be a good place to be, because I don't think they need pathologists in Vietnam. Well, was I wrong there? Anyway, I went to Tripler Army Hospital in Hawaii, spent 2 years there, and then was transferred to Fort Bragg, where I became a paratrooper and a doctor with the 82nd Airborne. From there, after just 2 years at Fort Bragg, I was shipped to Vietnam and ended up starting tropical medicine laboratories throughout the South Vietnam to treat our boys who had malaria, because malaria was killing more of our troops than actually the enemy was.
Wow.
And
I didn't know that.
So I also did forensic medicine. I did blood banking. I did all the usual laboratory support for the hospitals there, the surgical, the evac hospitals, and the major hospital in Saigon, which was the 3rd Field Hospital.
You know, Doctor, on behalf of Hugh Roy Marshall and myself, we want to not only thank you for your service, but Hugh Roy, you'll love this. He became a colonel, okay? Mm-hmm. And he married a major, but he also told me that's the last time she took orders from him. Is that right?
That's about right.
That's about right. But when you first started in medicine, and I find this interesting because I'm going to share with our listeners and viewers right now that there was a national study done for people who had been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. It was done for approximately 5 years, if my memory serves me correct. Feel free to interrupt me at any time, but it was like a 1.5 to 2%, depending on where in the nation you were, and then it was a little over 2% in Australia. You've been doing a study now for 7 years, Doctor, and you're at 64%. They ought to have a parade for you and Forsythe Cancer Care Center in every town in America. Would you agree?
Most definitely, yeah.
Well, they probably would.
Fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you for the acknowledgement. It's very hard, as you know, Eddie, to change a paradigm in medicine. Look at the trouble Semmelweis had and Pasteur had and Jenner had. They were all ostracized. Even Harvey, who discovered the circulation, was run out of town. So it's not easy to change a paradigm in medicine. And doctors are very fixed. What they learn in medical school or their internship and residency, they don't think anything else exists if they didn't learn it from the books. So thinking out of the box, thinking out of the books often brings you a lot of slings and arrows, but frankly, it's helped me to really develop a new form of cancer treatment where we are able to use low-dose insulin-potentiated therapy. That would be 10 or 15%. Only after we do genomic testing. Now, genomic testing is also called DNA testing, gene testing. It's precision medicine. It's tailor-made medicine, if you will. So everyone's genes are different. So we could have 3 people in this room with prostate cancer, but their gene studies would all be different because their genes are different. And you don't share your genes with anyone else. Your kids have half of them. You got, one of your parents had half of yours, but that's it. And the drugs that come up, the targeted agents that come up, the supplements, and if it's a hormone-driven tumor, those hormonal products that can block the cancer also come up as the right ones. So it's no longer a guessing game. I tell my patients, I'm not guessing. I'm taking my dictation from your genes and putting them on paper and handing you a blueprint.
Wow.
A blueprint you've never had before. Because I always say, if I give you the wrong drug, I'm actually hurting you. I'm going to speed up your demise. And I don't want to do that. I've done that in the past because we never had gene testing before 02, 03 when the Human Genome Project was completed.
You know, Doctor, and this was something Hugh Roy and I were talking about earlier. It's almost as if the present day and even oncologists of yesterday, they actually go to their medical library and pull a Betty Crocker cookbook off and say, here's what you do for cancer, and there comes the poisonous chemotherapy. Am I correct in that?
Absolutely, Eddie. It's all cookbook. It's all one size fits all. There's no imagination. You just do the exact dosing, and that's often following the surgery and preceding the radiation. But it could be a mixture of various ways around it. But there's very little difference from one prostate cancer or one breast cancer to the other. And patients can actually die with full-dose chemo on their first dose. Believe it or not, I've seen it myself because of the toxicity, because they are hit too hard with the drugs. Pretty soon their white cells, their red cells, their platelets drop out of the bottom, and they enter the hospital, they get sepsis, and boom, they're gone. Or they bleed to death.
Wow.
Or the anemia kills them. And not everyone will accept blood, let's face it. If you're a Seventh-day Adventist or a certain religion, you can't take blood transfusions. They won't allow that in their religion, and people stick to their beliefs. So those are problem patients, obviously, as well. But I had to, when I saw the articles in the literature, especially in the Journal of Clinical Oncology, one of the main oncology journals, showing, as Eddie said, a 2.1% survival at 5 years of chemo. So if you had stage 4 disease and you had 5 years of chemo, 2 out of 100 patients would still be alive. But think of it, Eddie. Think of what those 2 patients had to endure and what they look like after 5 years. They may have neuropathies, their hair is gone, their organs are damaged, their heart muscle may be damaged, they may be in congestive heart failure, all kinds of horrible things.
Certainly a poor quality of life. Viewers, this is Old Tales of Nevada, past and present, with Hugh Roy Marshall. We will be right back.
Buy Nevada First Gift Shop and Visitor Center at the Reno Town Mall is the place to buy local Nevada-owned products. There is over 4,000 square feet of unique items to choose from. Art, jewelry, books, music, inventions, clothing, candy, pottery, toys, even Nevada-made wine and more. Why, you can even purchase a gift basket full of Nevada-owned products. Buy Nevada First Gift Shop, located at the Reno Town Mall, 4001 Virginia Street in Reno. Buy local first.
Hi, I'm Paula.
And I'm Dan. We're the producers of the Tanner's Marketplace Antiques and Craft Shows at the Livestock Event Center on Wells Avenue.
I'd also like to tell you about our everyday location. We're at Somewhere in Time on South Virginia Street. We're Antique Antiques, booth number 46.
You'll find paintings by Nevada artists, collectible glass, vintage jewelry, Native American jewelry and baskets, antiques and unusual to unique items.
Find it all at Antique Antiques inside Somewhere in Time at 1313 South Virginia Street.
Come see us!
Boutique Elegante presents a beautiful collection of summer fashions for every occasion. A day at the lake, a tropical holiday, patio parties, or special dinners. You'll find the perfect ensemble, add jewelry and accessories, and you're set to go. All at Boutique Elegante.
Somewhere in Time is the place to find what will be treasured for all time. A store full of the unexpected, with a large selection of beer and sports memorabilia, vintage toys, casino and brothel memorabilia, vent and glassware, Disney collectibles, historic comic books, jewelry, a great selection of vintage neon, new and enlarged collections throughout the store. Have fun with the whole family. Check out all the inventory in the store. Find the unexpected that will be treasured for all time at Somewhere in Time on South Virginia in Reno.
Boutique Elegante presents a beautiful collection of summer fashions for every occasion. A day at the lake, a tropical holiday, patio parties, or special dinners. You'll find the perfect ensemble, add jewelry and accessories, and you're set to go. All at Boutique Elegante.
Welcome back to Old Tales of Nevada, past and present, with your host, Eddie Floyd, sitting in for John O'Brien, and the other host, Mr. Hugh Roy Marshall, who has a question for our very special guest, Dr. James Forsythe. Hugh Roy?
You betcha, Eddie. Well, you know, Dr. Forsythe, as we have been talking about your method of analyzing the people's blood by human genomics, as a method to determine what their genes would be in regards to curing them of cancer, is a really unique and exceptional method, which probably began, you said, in 2003 when they started to map the human genome. So we've had 14 years of mapping, but you said they're still mapping the genes in human beings. But could you explain how you use that gene technology to come up with recipes for getting rid of their cancer in different area of the body?
Excellent question, Roy, and it's a little bit complicated. I'm going to try and make it as simple as I can for our lay audience. But what we do, we're basically with a patient with stage 4 cancer. Of course, we verify the diagnosis. We do the usual things conventional oncologists do. We do the history and physical. We do the background. We do a little more than they do because we're looking for the cause. So we'll do things like allergy testing, food testing, chemical testing, heavy metal testing, and looking for sources, and also genetic testing like the BRCA testing. We want to look for underlying viral illnesses that could cause cancer, like the H. pylori bacteria, the hepatitis B and C virus, the HPV virus, Eddie, which you know causes head and neck cancer, and cervical and anal cancer, and maybe even other cancers. We don't know. There may be more in men and women. But so we're looking for etiologies, but mostly we're going to take their blood, and we're looking for CTCs, which are circulating tumor cells. All of us have them. Even those without cancer have some cells that are circulating that are cancer cells. But because we all have and don't have immunodeficiency diseases like HIV, we haven't been through renal transplant or liver transplant or lung transplant, so we're not immunosuppressed. So when you're immunosuppressed with any of those diseases, you have more chance of getting cancer. Remember, the AIDS patients, which was first diagnosed in the early 80s, they come down with many cancers like lymphoma, like Hodgkin's disease, like head and neck cancers, like Kaposi's sarcoma, and so on. We don't have that because when you have an intact immune system, generally your immune system can handle those few cells that are circulating, all of us, that are bad cells. They just snuff them out. When they get to be too many, that's when your immune system runs and hides. I always equate it to the Chinese coming into the Korean War over the Yalu River, and there were so many of them, the American troops had to get the hell out of there as soon as they could because they were just overwhelmed by the numbers. And when our immune system is overwhelmed by the number of cancer cells, they do go into hiding and they become ineffective. So that's what we're looking for. When we take the blood, it's sent to one of the top 3 genetic labs in the world, and we've used them all. We've used the one in Korea, South Korea, that is. The Good Gene Lab, GENE. The BioFocus Lab, the Good Gene is in Korea. The BioFocus Lab in Germany. Neither of those met our standards. We wanted more. The one in Greece, Florina, Greece, met all of our standards and continues to. And we've been using them for the last it's been almost 13 years now. And we've run from those studies, 2 long, 1 5-year study, and the current study is 7 years. Both studies outdid the 2%. The first study was a 45% at 5 years. The second study is now running 62%. When we get that information, which takes about 10 or 12 days to get it back, emailed back, we put it in protocol form for the patient. Now, with my 40 years experience in oncology, I develop a protocol based on the 2 best drugs and all the supplements. Now, there may be 20 to 25 supplements. By that, I mean vitamins, minerals, and herbs that I'm going to throw at the patient for at least 3 to 6 months. And all of those together, and we posed this question to the mathematics department, University of Utah, and said, what is the probability of a good remission with the 2 best drugs, over 80% effective, plus all of these supplements that all have their individual, what we call kill ratio or specificity of killing the cancer. And they're all anywhere from 5% to 60%. And they came back universally with their decision that you have over a 95% probability of putting that patient in remission with this protocol.
Wow.
95%. Now, I always tell them in a betting town like Reno, those aren't bad odds.
Good odds. Very good.
And so the patients then, what you're doing too, you're giving the patient hope, because many of them have been given death sentences. Many of them are on hospice. Many of them have been told to make amends, go on that last cruise, settle all affairs with those that you don't like, and so on. You know the story, and you've heard it so many times. But when you're giving them hope, that lightens them up. That actually stimulates their immune system, I feel, because the doctor is actually giving them hope, whereas the other doctors have already buried them. And so that's so important to get the doctor-patient relationship on a good level.
Amen. And you know, Roy, one of the things that I've had occasion to go to the FORSYTHE Cancer Care Center at 521 Hamel Lane, right here off of Kitsky and Sierra Rose, right there on the corner. You really can't miss it. It's just a beautiful clinic. But one thing that amazes me is that everyone I've talked to who are patients of Dr. James Forsythe and his doctors all say the same thing about him and the nurses involved and the other staff, and that is their bedside manner. They give them what they're looking for. They give them the hope, and they even have a foundation known as the Forsythe Wellness Clinic Foundation, where people can actually qualify. If they can't afford, they can go in and qualify to get assistance in their medical bills through their own foundation. Am I right, Doctor?
That's correct. And we have over $1 million in the foundation to help patients who have financial needs. We also have shortened, instead of the 3-week program, we have a 2-week program, and we have a reverse program where they're getting more of their insulin potentiated therapy more days a week for 2 weeks instead of 3 weeks. So both of those additional programs save about 30 to 40%. And then many of our patients, believe it or not, Eddie, go on GoFundMe if that is not enough for them. And the GoFundMe can often raise $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 within a matter of a month.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Well, that's beautiful.
Good.
At least you direct them in the right direction. And the other thing that I found that was just truly amazing is your patients, your staff, your nurse, everybody seems to believe in the power of prayer for the victory over cancer, and it truly is a victory. Now, here's my question for you, and I hope you take it in the right light. A little bird told me that you're about to open your second, which I hope will be many other clinics. And that second clinic is going to be in Las Vegas. Is that correct?
That's right, Eddie. We just opened it this month, in fact, in the North Las Vegas area, in the Summerlin area on Tenaya. And in that clinic, we will be under Indian medicine law as well, so we will be able to do things they do in Mexico and Europe and Germany with hyperthermia, with stem cells, etc. Things that are proven to be good, but the FDA has not yet approved of in this country yet. So we feel that's going to be very helpful. We're going to have that extra latitude to do things that can't be done anywhere but in Europe or Mexico. That's going to bring more patients to stay in the United States, and we feel that we can do a better job here. Our training is better. Our genomic testing is better. And then we use the IPT, which I haven't really explained yet, but IPT is insulin potentiated therapy, where we're able to get away with only a 10 or 15% of the conventional dose. So with that, patients aren't losing hair, they're not getting neuropathies, they're not getting the chemo brain, they're not getting organ damage, and they don't get cytopenias. By cytopenias, I mean their white count, red count, and platelets don't fall out of the bottom and get them in trouble, so they end up in the hospital.
Wow. All right. This is Old Tales of Nevada, past and present. We're going to take a short break and pay tribute to our sponsors. When we come back, we'll continue with this wonderful interview with Dr. James Forsythe, world-renowned integrative oncologist.
Boutique Elegante presents a beautiful collection of summer fashions for every occasion. A day at the lake, a tropical holiday, patio parties, or special dinners. You'll find the perfect ensemble, add jewelry and accessories, and you're set to go. All at Boutique Elegante.
Hi, I'm Chris from Past Time at Somewhere in Time. Are you looking for that one-of-a-kind gift that you can't find in the big department store? I have something for all occasions. Got stuff? Need to know whether or not it has value or how to sell it? We can help with that too. Come and see me Tuesday or Wednesday at Pastime in Somewhere in Time at 1313 South Virginia Street in Reno. Just ask for Chris.
All of us at Shoeman's Custom Cycle are ready to get you and your Harley ready for the road. From oil and tire changes to high-performance engine upgrades and dyno tuning, we at Shoeman's have got you covered with experienced factory-certified mechanics and a full-service machine shop loaded with parts and accessories. Shoeman's Custom Cycle has been serving Northern Nevada since 1988. So ride on down to Shoeman's Custom Cycle at 275 East 4th Street in downtown Reno.
Shoeman's Custom Cycle with a biker's bike shop.
Hi, I'm Paula.
And I'm Dan. We're the producers of the Tanner's Marketplace Antiques and Craft Shows at the Livestock Event Center on Wells Avenue.
I'd also like to tell you about our everyday location. We're at Somewhere in Time on South Virginia Street. We're Antique Antiques, booth number 46.
You'll find paintings by Nevada artists, collectible glass, vintage jewelry, Native American jewelry and baskets, antiques and unusual to unique items.
Find it all at Antique Antiques inside Somewhere in Time at 1313 South Virginia Street.
Come see us.
Hi, I'm Hugh Roy Marshall from the Marshall Mint, Virginia City and Reno, Nevada. Come to introduce you to the Let 'em Run Wild Horse Mustang series. Wish depicts the Wild Mustangs herd running free, mare and its foal, the Wild Mustangs fighting for love. These ingots are a limited edition double-struck product on 1 troy ounce 3-pine silver and are only available at the Marshall Mint, Virginia City or Reno, Nevada. Get your piece of history today.
Boutique Elegante presents a beautiful collection of summer fashions for every occasion. A day at the lake, a tropical holiday, patio parties, or special dinners. You'll find the perfect ensemble, add jewelry and accessories, and you're set to go. All at Boutique Elegante.
We are back now with Old Tales of Nevada. I'm very excited because we've been interviewing integrative oncologist Dr. James Forsythe, and I'm talking about probably the #1 integrative oncologist in the entire world. Let's go to the host of the show right now, Hugh Roy Marshall, who has another question for Dr. Forsythe.
Yes, Dr. Forsythe, we know now that you're putting another clinic in Las Vegas, and we had spoken earlier about how many clinics do you think that would be necessary in various states in the United States, from 2 to 3, 4 to 5, or depends upon the population or a highly populated area. Or could you just expand the oncology center and make it bigger for a bigger area like New York City?
Yeah, good question, Roy. Cancer Treatment Centers of America has six clinics in various parts, from Seattle to Tulsa to Atlanta to Illinois. We think, you probably need a half dozen to a dozen. There's a huge unmet potential out there, because we get patients from Africa, from Jakarta, India, from Hong Kong, from China. Suzanne Summers, who's wrote the book called Knockout: Interviews with Doctors Curing Cancer, which I'm featured in Chapter 9, the only doctor in the Western states that's an integrative oncologist that's featured in her book. She told me her book now is the best-selling book in China and Korea.
Wow!
Think of those population bases, and we're getting inquiries about coming here all that way. So we already get patients from New Zealand and Australia, which is a 17-hour plane ride. Would you go 17 hours to see your doctor? Not too many people would do that, but we feel very honored by that fact. But to answer Roy's question, to stay on point, I think there's a huge unmet demand for this type of therapy. And in my mind, especially in pediatric oncology, where these poor kids, and you've all seen them in the ads on St. Jude's and the children's hospitals, where they're bald and they've had heart conditions, they're going to probably get some secondary cancers because all the chemo they've had is going to generate secondary cancer, and their growth is stunted. Why not use the low-dose chemo and not cause all those problems, but still cure the cancer and cure it in better statistics than they're now getting? That's my hope.
That's a great idea, great plan.
It's my hope that this happens. It's very hard, as I told you, Roy, to change a paradigm in medicine, though. The pendulum swings ever so slowly. And remember, you're hurting big pharma when you're cutting the drugs down by 90%. Wow. That's 90% of their shareholders' money. They don't like that. And I know I probably have a target on my own back, but that's just what.
Well, Dr. Forsythe, my family and myself, we've given over $140 million to cancer research, mostly all in the Houston area, to MD Anderson and to the other two hospitals there, Baylor Medicine.
Yes.
So, to the degree to which these units would cost between 7 and 12 million or so per clinic, or between 4.5, 5, 6 million, or do you have an idea about how much it would cost? The other thing, when you guys were talking before, there's 7 billion people on the earth.
Yes.
We have 350 million. India has 1.5 billion, and China has 4.5 billion. Do you guys know, is there a lot of cancer over there in India and China, or they don't get much cancer?
No, they get cancers. They get cancers, and
that's a lot of people.
Many of them just don't get chemo, and they just don't have the money to pay for the chemo. And unfortunately, the IPT was actually developed, Roy, in South America for that purpose, because they felt they could do the job with less chemo and by using the insulin along with it, because the insulin fools the cancer cells.
Sure.
When you're giving insulin in the bag, the little cancer cells think, oh boy, sugar's coming along, this is what I need, and they open up their pores, and pretty soon they're being flooded by the low-dose chemo, and the normal cells aren't even affected. So it's like a Trojan horse phenomenon.
Yeah.
So you're fooling the little devils. And, you've got to outsmart the cancer is what it amounts to. You've got to use your diet. You've got to use your supplements. You've got to use pH balancing. You've got to use detoxification. You've got to get rid of those toxic metals, get rid of the allergies, get rid of the chemicals in your system. We're all poisoned by our environment. Remember, genetics accounts for only 5% of cancers. 60 to 70% are lifestyle habits and toxins that we've accumulated over our lifetime.
Wow.
I'm concerned about it. My mom died of lung cancer. They took out both lungs. That was way too much. But Barbara Bush did the hospice that we gave the people of the hospice where she was in for $7 or $8 million. I'm sure it's getting a whole lot better all the time, but we're all getting older. Any one of us could get cancer.
Oh, yeah.
Well, right now,
if you guys need them.
in the United States, 650 million every year are dying of cancer. So, wow. Second only to cardiovascular disease and strokes, UROI. So, it's still a major problem.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
You know, Doctor, this would be a perfect time because you mentioned a book earlier in our conversation, okay? I just got through reading a rough draft of your most recent book, Essential Oils for the Treatment of Cancer. Could you give us just a little bit of forward of what to expect in that book? Because that should come out this year.
Well, it's already going to ebook through our Happy Health organization.
Oh, great.
But good. Essential oils, and the 10 best essential oils, we've listed those in the blends. And the companies that offer these oils, there are many companies out there, but we like Young Living, doTERRA, we like Melaleuca. I understand, Roy, that you have an outfit that makes some of the purest oils as well. The 10 best would be like frankincense and myrrh. Let's all remember, frankincense and myrrh. What did the baby Jesus get from the 3 wise men?
Yeah.
Frankincense and myrrh. And 6,000 years of our history, going way back to ancient Chinese, ancient Persian history, they were using oils, and they even buried the pharaohs with some of the oils, and marijuana. Remember, marijuana goes back 8,000 years. Marijuana, cannabis oil, is an essential oil. It can be used in a diffuser. It can be used in a vape. And we now know that medical marijuana used in the oil form, either orally through the transmucosally or rectally or in women vaginally, can turn around cancers. I have a lady in Vegas whose whole bone in her hip and pelvis and spine was full of cancer. She's running around now like a 18-year-old. She's 77, I think.
Yes.
So a man up at the lake, a retired airline pilot, prostate cancer throughout his spine, used the oils, and his PSA went from 40 to 0.8 in a matter of months, and his Mets in his spine and bones are gone on scan.
Oh, beautiful.
So don't ever discount the therapeutic value of the cannabis oils, because they have to have the 2 major compounds in them, the THC, tetrahydrocannabinol, and CBD, cannabinoid. They have to work together on the cancer, and they do that. The Israeli scientists have worked out the biochemistry of this and the molecular biology. So it's a real phenomenon. It has nothing to do with the hippies in the 60s, believe me.
You know, Doctor, and I'm glad you said that about essential oils, but another book that my wife and I absolutely loved because of how technical it was in nature was your book called Stoned, The Truth About Medical Marijuana. And I was so impressed because you broke it down into a science, okay? Unlike the Haight-Ashbury days where they broke it down to something a little bit different, okay? But you broke it down to an absolute science. What a great book.
Well, I have a little experience in the Haight-Ashbury. My apartment was 2 blocks away during medical school in the 60s, so go figure, huh? And my classmate David Smith is now head of addiction medicine in the United States, and he opened the Haight-Ashbury Free Clinic, which I helped him volunteer services. And in those days, it was all LSD, psilocybin, peyote, mescaline, and lots of marijuana. Crack cocaine and heroin were not on the street at those days.
Wow. But you've just absolutely done so much. I have a personal question that I would like to ask you, and then we'll go back to Hugh Roy. But doctor, to be a homeopathic doctor and to also be an MD, a regular medical doctor, seems like there's so much history behind homeopathy that they haven't uncovered yet. Is that correct?
Well, homeopathy, most conventional doctors don't realize that homeopathy is the whole basis of vaccinations and for allergy testing, using small amounts of a substance to generate a terrific immune response. That's what a vaccine does. That's what allergy testing, patch testing, or skin testing does. And so that right there tells you that it just takes a small amount of a substance to generate a real immune response in the individual. And our therapy program consists of building the immune system 3 days a week, then giving the low-dose IPT 2 days a week. And I've developed this protocol, the FORSYTHE Immune Protocol, which works wonders. Patients do not lose their hair, do not get chemo brain, they do not get neuropathies, and they leave happy. And for instance, I have a cardiologist from Chico right now with stage 4 prostate cancer who said to me that when he first came, he was totally against what I was doing, and after 2 weeks in our clinic, and he felt so good and felt so much improvement in his condition with his bone pain, he said, I'm 120% for you right now. Wow. 120%.
That's what needs to be told, I think, Hugh Roy, to the people watching Old Tales of Nevada right now, because sure. Dr. Forsythe has such a history in study, and he's one of the people who actually uncovered the leukemia cluster we talked about in Fallon. Okay, he was involved in that, and has been a front runner when it comes to integrative oncology, and I love this test he's doing right now, because once this test wraps up, it is my opinion that more and more of your conventional doctor will go to homeopathic form of doctor in the way of treatment. Would you agree with that?
Well, it's swinging our way, Eddie, for sure, because we're using the best of both worlds. We can't forget what's gone on 8,000 years. There had to be something that was all these people alive to their 70s, 80s, and Michelangelo was in his 80s when they weren't taking big pharma. They were doing all natural things. We have to learn from them. Chinese medicine goes back thousands of years. They were doing something right. Let's not ignore it all. Let's incorporate it into what we do and do less of it. I mean, if you turn on the radio, there's 6 to 10 pharmaceutical ads every hour on the TV, on all the channels. And it tells you all the horrible things that can happen if you take even a medicine to improve your antidepressant. You're going to die from it or get kidney failure. Do you really want to go there?
No, we don't want to go there, but I tell you what we do want to do. We want to take a short break and come back with the final segment of Old Tales of Nevada, past and present, with Hugh Roy Marshall as we interview Dr. James Forsythe. We'll be right back.
You have got to come and see our bridal designer collection here at Precision Diamonds. We bought our building, lower the overhead. That means everyday low prices to you.
Hi, I'm Hugh Roy Marshall from the Marshall Mint, Virginia City and Reno, Nevada. I'm to introduce you to the Let 'em Run Wild Horse Mustang series, which depicts the wild Mustang's herd running free, mare and its foal, the wild Mustangs fighting for love. These ingots are a limited edition double-struck product on 1 troy ounce 3 fine silver and are only available at the Marshall Mint, Virginia City, or Reno, Nevada. Get your piece of history today.
Buy Nevada First Gift Shop and Visitor Center at the Reno Town Mall is the place to buy local Nevada-owned products. There is over 4,000 square feet of unique items to choose from. Art, jewelry, books, music, inventions, clothing, candy, pottery, toys, even Nevada-made wine and more. Why, you can even purchase a gift basket full of Nevada-owned products. Buy Nevada First Gift Shop, located at the Reno Town Mall, 4001 Virginia Street in Reno. Buy local first.
Boutique Elegante presents a beautiful collection of summer fashions for every occasion. A day at the lake, a tropical holiday, patio parties, or special dinners. You'll find the perfect ensemble, add jewelry and accessories, and you're set to go. All at Boutique Elegante.
You have got to come and see our bridal designer collection here at Precision Diamonds. We bought our building, lower the overhead. That means everyday low prices to you.
Somewhere in Time is the place to find what will be treasured for all time. A store full of the unexpected, with a large selection of beer and sports memorabilia, vintage toys, casino and brothel memorabilia, vent and glassware, Disney collectibles, historic comic books, jewelry, a great selection of vintage neon, new and enlarged collections throughout the store. Have fun with the whole family. Check out all the inventory in the store. Find the unexpected that will be treasured for all time at Somewhere in Time on South Virginia in Reno.
Hi, I'm Chris from Past Time at Somewhere in Time. Are you looking for that one-of-a-kind gift that you can't find in the big department store? I have something for all occasions. Got stuff? Need to know whether or not it has value or how to sell it? We can help with that too. Come and see me Tuesday or Wednesday at Past Time in Somewhere in Time at 1313 South Virginia Street in Reno. Just ask for Chris.
You have got to come and see our bridal designer collection here at Precision Diamonds.
We are back now with the final segment of Old Tales of Nevada, Past and Present. The host of the show today, Hugh Roy Marshall. I'm sitting in for John O'Brien as we interview the #1 integrative oncologist, in my opinion, in the world, Dr. James Forsythe of Forsythe Cancer Care Center. Hugh Roy, I believe you had another question for the doctor.
Yeah, I just would like to, express my interest in your field. And in any way that I can help with one of our foundations or my involvement with Baylor or one of the universities, most of my family are on the boards of those hospitals in Houston also. And I come from there. I was born there and whatever too. But your unique method really needs to go to the world, but needs to be kept by you, for the rest of your life. So any way that we can help you, whatever, we'd be happy to. Having patents are very important, on stuff. Make sure somebody doesn't rob it from you.
Hugh Roy, that was so well said, and I want to thank you personally for that, because the more people who hear about his, if you will, protocol, the more people are going to get a hold of Forsythe Cancer Care Center. And Doctor, we're going to open up here Happy Health in the Reno Town Mall, especially right across the hall from where Marshall Mint plans to open up the Marshall Mint and Jewelry Store. Now, what can we expect out of Happy Health? Is that where the people can actually get a great deal on supplements and also books for their health?
Eddie, that's good you mentioned that, because you will be involved in that yourself. But the Happy Health Group is starting an internet site, a Safe Zone site, that is actually called the safezone.com, or .info, I should say, that is launching in the next month here. And it's a safe internet site that provides safety, privacy. It provides a 10-digit number that will substitute for your credit card. It can't be hacked, and you can't lose it like you lose a credit card. That number is with you as long as you're a member, and it is free. There's no charge to it, and it provides a lot of incentives in various ways. We also have a card, Eddie, that will provide for patients who are not on Medicare, Medicaid, 50% up to 50% reduction on drugs.
Wow.
50% on laboratory studies, and 50% on X-rays and scans. So people who are suffering from the high cost of medicine these days will be able to afford it just by presenting that card, which also is free to them. There's no charge for the card.
I love that.
That sounds
And Hugh Roy, I loved your comments about your various foundations, because, Doctor, that leads me to this next Forsythe Wellness Clinic Foundation. That's your foundation,
yes.
But people can donate to that foundation on behalf of a friend, relative, or an associate who may have been diagnosed with cancer. Is that not correct?
That's correct. Yes, that foundation is set up for the purpose of supplying people with financial need to help pay for our services. Some of the treatments we offer, the chemotherapy part of it, is often covered by private insurance, but they don't cover any of the alternative therapies. The immunotherapies are not covered, and people on Medicare and Medicaid there's no coverage there, nor is there with the VA hospitals.
Final question for me, and then I'm sure Hugh Roy has one or two more, but final question for me, Doctor. Wouldn't it make sense for everybody out there to at least go to Forsythe Cancer Care Center and get that genomic testing done so that they know what they're dealing with down the road?
Ideally, yes, but it is an expensive test. It's a very high-tech genetic test, and it's several $1,000s, so not everyone can afford that test, Eddie. It's never really been done on a large number of normal people, so we really don't know for sure what the norms are and what the bell-shaped curve looks like on that. I think it's a good idea. I've had other patients suggest that. We do have a panel of cancer tests that are tumor markers that we offer patients who are worried if their wife has breast cancer, will their daughters get it? If someone has prostate cancer, will their sons get it? And so on. There's a number of tumor marker studies you can do to see if they're at risk at all, or if their immune function is off. We offer the immune panel, which measures your T cells, B cells, and natural killer cells to see that if your fighting forces inside your own body are up to par.
Wow. I love that. Now, also, I would like to ask you this question, and that is, if you don't mind, that's the fact that when you do have these people that go in for this genomic testing, you get the blueprint. When it comes to Eastern medicine, I'm talking about the Far East,
yes,
versus our Western medicine here, it seems like we go into the doctor when we have a problem. It seems like they go to the doctor so they don't have a problem. Do you ever see us changing?
I hope so. I think it is coming just by the very cost of medicine. And, of course, with the ACA, the Obamacare, the cost of the premiums and the deductibles and the co-pays are so high. And we predicted this, Eddie. As you know, I've written 2 books in 12 and 14 on abominable care, a prescription for chaos, and the second book was Understanding and Surviving Obamacare. Everything that we said in those books has come true. It's just that Congress can't get their act together to make it come true, that we're going to have a repeal and replace.
Hugh Roy, I want to ask you this because I really think it makes sense for Dr. Forsythe, his wife Earlene, and the rest of the group at Forsythe Cancer Care Center to continue to open, when they can, as many other clinics. But here's what I'd like to see the doctor do. He can only see so many patients in one day, no matter how great he is, and he is great. But here's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see a room full of young doctors who just got their medical license being trained by Dr. Forsythe.
Well, that's what we would want to get the grant for.
That's right.
Is to get the students in there to learn the method, but not to steal the method from them. That's the only thing I'm worried about. This guy's got a method for cancer that really works, which is not out there.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
wouldn't that be great, Doctor?
Anyway, we can help with it.
And you, Roy, as you know, you can't really patent a protocol for any medicine. It just doesn't work. We've tried that, and so and besides, we want to spread the word, and the more people using the safe form of chemotherapy, getting their cancers cured, and the more kids that are treated this way, then that's our reward. We don't need any financial reward.
There you go. Wow. Well, I've heard that this guy is a regular slave with his patients.
That's right.
He just stays right on top of them.
He's there every morning. You and I are both up around 5 in the morning. He is too.
Oh, yeah.
He's there making phone calls to both of us. He's there. He cares about his patients. I've never seen a more caring clinic in my entire life than the Forsythe Cancer Care Clinic. And my friend, Doctor, that is a compliment to you and the entire staff there.
Definitely.
Okay?
Well, I love what I'm doing. I still wouldn't be practicing at 79 if I didn't love what I'm doing.
Wow.
We love that what you're doing too. Now you plan on staying here in town, don't you?
I do, yes.
Yeah.
I was offered a position at the Cleveland Clinic to run their integrative oncology, and I had to refuse because I'm not a Midwesterner. I'm a Nevada.
Yeah, you don't want to go to Cleveland.
No.
That'd be like moving to Detroit again, doctor. But the other thing that I see is over there at Forsythe Cancer Care Center, all of the doctors seem to have your attitude when it comes to the bedside manner with the patients. They truly care about the patients, and it shows.
Thank you. Well, we strive for that. We have a good crew over there that is very caring, compassionate, and empathetic, and that's what the patients need, because they've often been rejected or told, a grim story about how long they have to live, and we try and erase those negative feelings and have them thinking positively. The glass is always half full in our clinic, never half empty.
Wow. And Doctor, do you have a good feeling that there will be a turnaround in Western medicine to where more and more doctors will start following your, if you will, integrative style of chemotherapy?
That's certainly my hope, Eddie. I don't know if I'll live to see it because things change very slowly. As I said, the paradigm in medicine is a very slowly evolving process, and I'm not sure I can see it. It's just there's just so much resistance to changing. It's like the Hillary T-shirts that say "resist." The doctors are all wearing that under their clothing, which means they're going to resist any change if possible. So.
Wow. Well, that's the thing that scares me, Hugh Roy, is the fact that thanks to you and thanks to Jim and John Jobo of Old Tales of Nevada, past and present, at least we're getting the word out here in the great state of Nevada. Plus, we at America Matters Media air the audio version of this show 4 to 6 times each and every week, and we go around the world. Wow. So more and more people are hearing people like Dr. James Forsythe, thanks to Old Tales of Nevada.
Yeah, very important. Very important.
Well, I want to thank you both for inviting me and getting the word out. That's the key thing, is getting people educated that there are other options out there, Eddie.
I really believe that.
Thank you, Hugh Roy, for your input.
You betcha.
I want to thank you too, Hugh Roy, for the kind offer that you made the doctor to work with the foundations, because I would like to see, now this is just personal, and I don't have a dog in the fight or a horse in the race, but I truly would love to see a Forsythe Cancer Care Center in every major metropolis so people didn't have to travel so far.
Sure.
And
well, when we deal with other people, if we're so lucky to interview Mr. Buffett and talk to him, about then anybody that has money is a potential donor to his cancer treatment center.
Well, Doctor, we'll get Warren on the phone for you this afternoon.
Thank you.
I want to thank each and every one of you for watching Old Tales of Nevada, past and present, this week with Hugh Roy Marshall, yours truly, Eddie Floyd, sitting in for John O'Brien, as we have interviewed the first and the best integrative oncologist in the entire world, in my opinion, and in the opinion of so many others. We'll see you next week.